A group of parents in Massachusetts have filed a lawsuit against a public school district committee and several school officials after they say their kids were encouraged by teachers to take on new names and different genders, violating, they say, the parents' rights by not telling them about it. Joining us right now to break this down, Erika Sanzi, Director of Outreach for Parents Defending Education. Erika, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
This is an interesting lawsuit, a little bit complicated here. And I was reading some of the lawsuit. One of the children, from what I understand, is 11 years old. And the parents objected to a video presentation in which the children, who were incoming sixth graders, were asked their name, their gender, and their preferred pronoun. Now, this became a discussion months later about one particular child's mental health and depression. The parents were notified, agreed to therapy with their child, asked the teachers not to have private conversations with their child about their mental health. So the lawsuit alleges that the teachers disregarded the wishes of the parents. What else happened as a result of this?
So I'm not familiar enough with this lawsuit to speak about the details. All I know is that there are major concerns, not only among the plaintiffs in this case, but also in lawsuits we're seeing pop up over the country, that information is being withheld from parents and that parents are being deliberately deceived about what is being discussed and what is being shown to their students during the school day, as well as what their children are going through personally in terms of their own gender transitions.
Right. And, you know, one of the attorneys representing the parents said this, quote, "This lawsuit is about protecting the rights of parents to raise their children without the interference of government officials. By deliberately circumventing the authority of parents over the mental health and religious beliefs of their children, activists at the Ludlow schools are violating time-honored rights guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution and the Massachusetts Constitution." Yeah. What's your thoughts on this, Erika?
Well, I think that the attorney is right. One thing that people don't understand is really the only reason that public schools can even exist is because parents delegate their authority to schools during the time that the child spends there. So that's why we have to sign papers saying that our child can take a Tylenol during the school day and that our child can go on a field trip and that our child can watch a PG-13 movie. So what has happened here is that parents have delegated authority to the school system. The school system is supposed to be acting in loco parentis. And instead, by deliberately deceiving parents and by withholding information, very important information, often that related to serious mental health concerns about their children, the school has really violated that contract because, again, like if you withhold information from parents, that is completely at odds with the delegation of authority that they have given to the schools.
Right. And to your point, guidance from the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education reveals that in cases involving young students, parents should be made aware of changes related to a student's gender identity. Interestingly, the principal, allegedly in this lawsuit, said that the school knew better than the parents what was best for their children with regard to the gender identity issue. This seems to be sort of an issue of what's the role of the parent, what's the role of the school, and really if the school's so worried about the repercussions or consequences for the student in these cases, shouldn't that first be reported?
Yeah, the thing that I think is so striking and that we've seen with this particular issue is that the policies put into place by school systems have decided to treat all parents as if they are the worst, most terrible, most dangerous parents. So instead of thinking of a parent where the child could be at risk because of this situation, right? And using discretion in how to address that one situation, the policies and the schools have decided that the default now needs to be that they're going to treat all parents as if they're dangerous, uncaring, unloving, transphobic, et cetera. And that, I think, is the biggest change. And I think that's why parents are so sort of shocked and confused by how they're being seen and treated in these situations.
Speaking of shock, we need to point out this is not just an issue going on in Massachusetts. Many parents don't even know their school's policy. A lot of schools around the country have policies that they are not allowed to discuss with the parent if a child chooses to use a different name or a different pronoun at school, and parents have no clue.
That is correct. It is very important for, viewers to understand that these are very common policies across the country. I discovered it's the policy in my own district, and that's in red and blue states, blue and also red and blue cities. So certainly the first step is just for parents to understand, you know, what is the policy around this where I live? And do I have a right to know if my child has decided to change their name or their pronouns, or they're, you know, changing their clothes in a different locker room, or their, you know, the sleeping accommodations on overnight field trips? All parents have a right to know this information. And the first step is to find out, you know, what is the policy in my district?
Right. And it certainly cuts both ways, because you could also make the argument that parents need to be paying attention. They need to be more involved in paying attention to perhaps what's going on, not just, you know, in the classroom, but also at home as well, if they're so concerned. All right, Erika, great talking to you this morning. We certainly appreciate it. Have a great week.